Strategies at home to help your new little arrival have ease in their system, to help and support them rest and digest. I'm going to go through a few things here. I'm going to, use my doll to demonstrate. She's a lot smaller than, your little one might be at home. So I will describe a lot of things in terms of hand placement and movement that you can do. And the purpose of it is to ensure just ease, so making sure the brain and body are communicating. When they are connecting and there is no stress or tension between the skull, the spine, the pelvis, the brain and the body can work together the way they are supposed to. So the brain controls the heart rate, controls the lungs, controls digestion, controls sleeping, eating, swallowing, you name it. All controlled by how the brain can talk to the body. But when there is tension in the skull and the spine all the way to the tailbone, either through traumas, toxins, thoughts, technology, stressors, prenatal pregnancy and delivery stressors, it can add areas of subluxation or tension in the spine. I'm not going to go into the definition of that subluxation today, but it's a word that explains what chiropractors look for and adjust instead of explaining all of the anatomy every single time. But when there's been some sort of build-up of tension, that baby's body needs to go into protection, if you will, one of the reasons. The skull can stop moving properly, the spine can stop moving properly, and the tailbone as it's growing and developing. So their bones are very different than yours and I. When we're born, we have a bit of a curve in our neck, but we shouldn't have curves in the rest of the spine. Baby also should not be like really rigid and really stiff, and they should not be able to stand on their own on the couch either. That's telling us there's a big problem. So your little at home, just to support and encourage a state of ease in their body after delivery, lots of cuddles, lots of love, of course, but making sure there's not stress in that system. So when there's stress in our systems, adults, babies, teenagers, you name it, we go into flexion. Car seats put us into flexion. Sometimes when we hold baby for long periods of time, we're kept in flexion. Sometimes we put them in things like called bumbo or upright seats that put them in flexion before they're able to sit on their own. Sometimes we put them in exercisers and stand them up with their feet flat. That's adding pressure and stress through their system, yet they cannot yet do that on their own, and they go into flexion. There's different things that can create that. Another one is putting them in front of technology, or phones or iPads, TVs, different things, because it impacts the neurology and bypasses the back of the brain, the cerebellum. I'm going into a lot of detail here, guys, sorry. And then they go into flexion. So you want to avoid that. So that's one strategy, avoiding technology at all costs before the age of, ideally 5 even would be best, right? Even if you're like, oh, they just need to calm down while I'm focusing on X, Y, or Z, avoid it. Give them a toy, do something different. Maybe it's actually you shouldn't be doing what you're doing and need to do something else. Whatever it is, avoid at all costs if you can, getting them in front of technology. One strategy to help have ease in their whole brain to body system. Sometimes after delivery, or they're a few weeks old, or you've changed their diapers many times, they've been in car seats for many errands or long road trips, and they are stuck in flexion, or they've been sleeping on their back or sleeping slightly upright, or put into different man-made products to hold them still while you're doing stuff. It can create a lot of tension, right? Through the diaphragm, through the upper abdominal, but through the middle of the spine, the neck, because they don't yet have all the proper curves and strength to stay upright for prolonged periods of time, right, when they're little, under the age of 5 months. So what we're going to look for is any tension under their lower ribs. So that'd be the pressure you would test a ripe tomato with, or the pressure you'd put on your eyeball if you're putting in a contact. Just going along the ribs there and just holding, counting for 10 seconds, the other side for 10 seconds. You can also come just above the upper leg. Let me go backwards to come forwards. We're going to do it in order of the movement of digestive flow. So the right leg, you're going to come just above it on the stomach, holding the pressure again you put on an eyeball, not very much, and holding it for 10-15 seconds. Coming up just below the ribs, holding for 10 or 15 seconds. Below the ribs on the other side, 10 or 15 seconds, and then just above the left leg, holding for 10 or 15 seconds. Not pushing hard in any way, shape, or form, but opening up the front of the body. Babies grow from the bottom up, so the back of the brain and the bottom of the brain up to the front, right? So the first few couple years of life, the information coming into the body comes in through the spine and up through the brain stem and into the back of the brain, then through different pathways. So we want to encourage that areas of extension, hence why tummy time is so important. So yes, potentially maybe they're fussy and they're holding themselves really tight and they're not happy and they don't like tummy time. Yes, you can temporarily prop them up a little bit on something, have them on your chest. But ideally, right, if they can't have tummy time and something's going on, they may need a chiropractic checkup to see what else is happening in there where they may benefit from some chiropractic care. But ideally, they're going to be totally fine on their stomach and they're going to be just stretching and lengthening out so they can activate all the sensory receptors, all the neurology in the spine, and coming into the back of the brain where they're lifting and moving their head naturally on their own. Nice and easy and lengthening everything out, because again, moving into extension instead of being in flexion creates more ease into the body. When we're stuck in flexion, that's when the tissues, that's when the joints, the segments, the blood flow, everything gets under areas of stress and tension. It can block communication, either coming from, what someone's feeling from the outside, how it's going into the brain and the body's processing it, or how the brain can talk to the throat, the stomach, the digestive area. Chiropractic doesn't treat colic. Chiropractic doesn't treat fussiness. Chiropractic doesn't treat constipation. But we look for where there is interference or areas of tension that is not allowing proper communication that allows the body to work the way it's designed to. And when it's not working the way it's designed to, the body creates different symptoms or states to tell you something is wrong. And if we leave it long enough, they don't grow out of it. They grow into something else. Again, another tool for you, staying off technology, having them on their stomach, keeping them nice and long as much as you can, is coming in and creating some sort of figure eights. You can, not everybody's going to create a perfect one. That's why I say some sort of figure eight. But the heel of your hand is going to come under your bum, and your fingertips are going to be approximately where their spine is here. Going to eventually change direction. It's just below the shoulder blades, below the bottom of the ribs, and they will eventually get a curve in through there, creating the lower back. But also those nerves are coming into the small digestive system, coming out of the stomach, first into the small digestive system. And that's the common area with the car seat, with holding, sitting them propped up before they're ready. Just keeping them in a flex state can cause that area to go under a lot of tension, right? That's one of the many areas. So coming in and just gently holding the back of their head like you normally would, heel of your hand under their bum, and your fingertips are going to go in that spot. And you can just right there, just kind of do left, right, left, right, left, right. You don't have to have them upright in the position I'm holding them. You can gently have them on an angle. And just kind of over your fingertips, not too far, not too much, just a little bit subtle left, right, holding the head nice and still, but creating rotation kind of around your fingers while you're holding their bum in your hand. You can then also from there create a bit of a figure eight where you make it a little bit bigger. You're trying not to hurt their neck, so you can bring your hand down lower to support their neck and their upper back, so you're not moving that, so you're not moving around their neck, right, with the motion. And just nice easy movement. If you don't want to do the figure eight, you can do kind of side to side. I'll go from this way so you can see a little bit. My hand's not in the right position at the bottom, but you're going in this motion, right? But ideally, if you can get a bit of a figure eight, just to release that and hold it and lengthen it out. If you do have to go to the grocery store a few times, run a few errands, baby's in the bucket, baby's sleeping in the bucket, try to avoid that. That's another strategy. But when you get home, give them lots of cuddles, feed them as you need to, burp them, make sure they're comfortable, they're happy, get them on their tummy on their floor. Go in front of them on the floor and look at them with the eye contact. They get nervous when they can't sense or see you. So if they're on their stomach and you're on their stomach and you're talking to them and you have a hand on them and they're lengthening and stretching out, but they're also activating the base of their neck. That's very, very helpful as well. So avoiding technology, keeping them out of the bucket as much as you can. If you're able to get them out, do some baby wearing, get them out of the bucket. If you're going to appointments, get them out of the bucket. Don't take the bucket from the car to where you're going. Put them in a baby carrier if you can. When you do have lots of errands, you can't avoid the bucket, or you have a long road trip, taking them out, as I said, making sure they're happy, they're content, they know that they're with you and you're there, then getting some tummy time to lengthen out. If they're still sleeping and you're getting somewhere, you're getting to someone's house for dinner or doing something, take them out of the bucket, put them somewhere safe so they can continue sleeping, but that they're stretched out. They can be, and you know, if there's no underlying medical conditions going on and you're right there with them, you can have them still continue to sleep beside you on their stomach, you know, watching them, monitoring them if they're there for a little bit. You can put them on their back, you can have them on their side, whatever it is, as long as you're there with them so they can sense you and know that you're there, but they're also lengthening out and they're not stuck with their head pushing forward, which is another piece for another video, but they're not adding stress through here. Doing those figure eights or those side to side or those little wiggles in that TL is super, super important. You know, sometimes going the knees to the chest helps squeeze the gas out, but it actually creates more flexion. So I want to try and avoid the flexion, right? Because they're already getting lots of it, even if you're holding them football style, right? As much as you can during the day after you've been carrying them like this. If you're bottle feeding them, right? Alternating sides while you're feeding them, while you're not on your technology, because they want to see your eyes, because it puts them more in that fight or flight state, and then they can't process, rest, and digest as effectively, and that's where they start to get upset stomachs too. They want to have that sense of ease, and that sense of ease allows their body to work at its best. So that's a lot of information here in 10 or 11 minutes. If you have any questions, please reach out. Please subscribe or follow to us or share this information with others. We have more insight and more behind the scenes as to why it's super, super important to create extension, to have tummy time, and just the importance of it neurologically for growth and development. You can catch us in another video or come to a class to learn about it here in our office. Thanks guys, Dr. Wendy Coburn, One Village Chiropractic.